Rostow developed a theory regarding the stages of economic development. This describes a country's position within their economic development and how they progress socially and economically towards a higher stage. Predominantly, as a country progresses through the stages of economic development, they become a more developed country. Prior to Rostow, approaches to development had been based on the assumption that modernization was characterized by the Western world, wealthier, more powerful countries at the time, which are able to advance from initial stages of underdevelopment. Accordingly, other countries should model themselves after the West, aspiring to a modern state of capitalism and liberal democracy. Based on these ideas, the model suggests that all countries pass through a series of stages of development as their economies grow. The 5 stages of development are 1. Traditional society. Preconditions for takeoff. 3. Takeoff. 4. Drive to maturity. And 5. Age of high mass consumption. So in traditional society, this stage is characterized by a subsistent agricultural-based economy with intensive labor and low levels of trading and a population that does not have a scientific perspective on the world and technology. Preconditions to take off. Here, a society begins to develop manufacturing. At a certain point, a country advances to a more complex economy, beginning their economic development. Rostow believed that this stage could only be reached by a great achievement of a surplus of wealth. Transportation, communications, and natural resources exploitations could be the result of the potential invested economic savings. Takeoff. Rostow describes this stage as a short period of intensive growth in which industrialization begins to occur and workers and institutions become concentrated around a new industry. The introductions to technological innovations were the reasons for dramatic changes in the country's economy. Agriculture progressed to primarily commercial opposed to subsistence. Manufacturing becomes a more important part of the economy. Drive to maturity. This stage takes place over a long period of time as standards of living rise, use of technology increases, and the national economy grows and diversifies. The economy becomes more diversified, modern production methods come into use, and increased percentage of the nation's wealth is invested into developing its economy. I hate this.
Finally, at the age of high mass consumption. At the time of writing, Rostow believed that Western countries, most notably the United States, occupied this last developed stage. Here, a country's economy flourishes in a capitalist system characterized by mass production and consumerism. Individual incomes are greater than necessary for buying essentials. Due to the high incomes, there is a growing demand for additional consumer goods and services. Improved healthcare systems and educational opportunities result from the wealth of the society. Rostow's model still sheds light on a successful path to economic development for some countries. However, there are many criticisms of his model. While Rostow illustrates faith in a capitalist system, scholars have criticized his bias towards a Western model as the only path towards development. Rostow lays out 5 distinct steps towards development, and critics have cited that all countries do not develop in such a linear fashion. Some skip steps or take different paths. Another problem that Rostow's work has is that it considers mostly large countries with a large population such as Japan, with natural resources available at just the right time in its history, or with a large landmass such as Argentina. He has little to say and indeed offers little hope for small countries such as Rwanda, which do not have such advantages. Rostow also assumes that all countries have a desire to develop in the same way, with the end goal of a high mass consumption disregarding the diversity of priorities that each society holds and different measures of development. Finally, Rostow disregards one of the most fundamental geographical principles, site and situation. Rostow assumes that all countries have an equal chance to develop, without regard to population size, natural resources, or location. Singapore, for instance, has one of the world's busiest trading ports, but this would not be possible without its advantageous geography as an island nation between Indonesia and Malaysia.
Thank you for listening to our cool Rostows development presentation.